So I'll press play there. But yeah, why don't we start man with the man of the hour? I usually say before you started this, right? You were a version of you, and then 4 weeks later, now there's probably a little different version of you sitting there 5 weeks later. So do you notice any changes in yourself? And if so, what are they?
Yeah, I really think so. I think I'm just like more like disciplined or like more like I don't know what the word is. Like I want like I'm like doing stuff more. So like
Committed.
yeah, committed. And so
Ah,
it's like you know what I mean? You
yeah,
can't
committed. That's a great word. So you're proud of what you're the work you're putting in right now.
yeah.
Yeah. And in what way? So is this more off ice stuff? Is this your intention on ice? Is your deliberate practice? Like, talk to me about some of the stuff you learned and how you're applying it.
Pretty off ice probably. And so I've been like working out and like I think it's just like helped me and it's like I'm like getting up in the morning time and I'm like working out and it's like helped me because like usually like I wouldn't do that. Like I would just like sleep in or something like that.
Right.
But it's like I'm waking up and then like doing something like productive that'll help me.
Sweet. How does that make you feel?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Have you noticed any improvements in your strength or anything that you're working on?
Yeah, some.
Yeah, cool.
Definitely my shot. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? So like the gains we're gonna play the long game with, right? Like the more you do it, the better you're gonna get, and that's a really cool spot if you get into good habits. But the kind of the byproduct and the residual aspect of that is that you get to feel pretty damn good about yourself doing stuff, right? That
Yeah.
you know you haven't done before, that you know you're taking a step forward and you're being more mature and more accountable to what you want to do. Those are good things, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's worth just as much as the gains you're getting from the work you're putting in too. So pretty cool. Dad, are you in agreement with your son there?
Yeah, full agreement. So since day one, when this started, like he's a very committed kid. He always has been. When he puts his mind to something, he wants to do it. Since day one, when he started working with you, his alarm goes off. It was going off, and now it's gone earlier because of the workouts, but was going off at 6 a.m. It was the first thing he was doing every morning, was doing whatever the 20 minutes, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Um, we like typically don't have to ask him to do things that he really wants to do. Never once did I say, or did his mom say, like, hey, do this or do that. Like, we never had to do that, not even one time. He was 100% all in, to the point where when the month kind of ended, both Heather and I, his mom and I, were like, oh man, really, like it's over. And
Right.
kind of had that response.
Yeah.
And so now obviously where he's done with the classes, but then now the next kind of iteration of that is that commitment to there's things he wants to do to be better, and there's some mental things that he has done for sure. I've seen it on the ice. I've seen it in his attitude when he gets in the car after a game, even if it's, he's a goalie, as you know, and it's sometimes the team doesn't do what they hoped to do, and the goalie then bears the brunt of that.
Yeah.
And his attitude is different, and it's kind of, I would say, more positive and better. It's not always; it's still a work in progress.
Sure.
But then on top of that, on the off ice times, now he is like at 5:50 every morning, which to be honest is a bit early for my liking. His alarm goes off and he's in our home gym working out, and he just has a commitment to that. He's got a full schedule. He's written it out. He's got days off that he thinks are right. And so just that level of commitment. And so like I say, this was already what I would call a very committed kid anyways, but
Yeah.
now it's just maybe provided a bit more of that structure and a bit better, even more to push them, and just a more of a desire. And
Yeah.
it's been good to see. I love it.
Oh, that's
And
super
and
cool.
regardless of what happens with hockey and all of those things, this is good for life.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, this is part of life.
I
And
agree.
it's so
So how does that feel to hear your dad talk about you like that?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. So you have a yeah, you can make an impact, right? So you make an impact on you and you make an impact on those around you. I just had a conversation today with one of my clients that's at Wisconsin, University of Wisconsin. First year he's a freshman. He's one of the last guys added to the roster. So technically he's like the 15th forward, right? So we talked about when he got there, like what his game plan was, and I worked with him last year, and he started to develop like the habits that you're talking about, and he's starting to believe in himself and understanding the process of getting better, and uh and so since day one at Wisconsin, he's been working his ass off, doing the extra, showing up for every extra skate, being on time, staying late, getting knocked out of the lineup, not in the lineup, not having a bad attitude about it, like being positive, this, that, and the other, playing defense when he's been asked to play defense because his defenseman got hurt. And lo and behold, he gets in the lineup when he shouldn't be in the lineup. He has an amazing game. They win. He gets in the lineup the next game, they win. And now tomorrow he's probably going to be in the lineup again. And he's had the opportunity to work with Joe Pavelski, who is now retired, as you know, and he's a University of Wisconsin alum. So he's been coming on the ice with these guys. And Luke told him, he's like, "Hey, I got in my first games this weekend." He goes, "Yeah, I heard." He goes, "You're taking this program by storm. People are talking about you." That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, so what you're doing right now, as we said, is going to help with you getting better, but it also builds a support team around you just because you're willing to do what you're doing. Starts with mom and dad at your age, right? But then it's going to get into coaches, and then it's going to be trainers, and then it's going to be your teammates, and then it's going to be everyone recognizing that this McCrae kid is the real deal, right? And that's what's really cool because it takes more than just you to get to where you want to go. You have to have people that are going to believe in you and that want to follow you and keep developing those habits. It's a pretty powerful thing. So be proud. I want you to be proud. It's good. That's awesome, that you're getting a feel for it. And yeah, and continue on, right? Remember, we talked about standards pretty much the whole time, didn't we? Right?
Yeah.
Personal standards and where they are for you and where they can get to. And that's the exciting thing is that you can just keep changing them, and you can find spots that you're really proud of and it is fun when we grow and we evolve that we're usually happy with where we end up. So I love hearing that. Talk to me about the mental side because I know early on there was a few scenarios where you were proud of yourself for bouncing back for maybe a goal or whatever. How has that gone for you with the preparation side of the mindset stuff and maybe even the mental agility stuff in game.
Yeah, very good, I think. Like, say I get like a goal scored on me, I'm like bouncing back, not like slumping over, not getting like upset or like angry or like out of it. I'm like I feel like I'm better at like bouncing back and like being able to like save the next couple shots and like do like try to like help my team more
Sweet.
instead of just like giving up almost.
Awesome. Do you know
I
what the
would
reason for that is?
The no.
Yeah, what a interesting question, right? So because there's some tools we talked about maybe to do that. I mean, sometimes there's just a different level of focus from the player, like understanding that it's like almost a competitive challenge to yourself. That this is how I choose to respond now, right? Can I
Yeah.
do it? So yes, you're first trying to stop the puck. That's your number one goal. But after maybe you don't stop the puck, now your number one challenge is my response time, right? And my factor. And I don't know if that's conscious with you or not. That's why I asked. But sometimes there is a little internal competition to be like, how am I going to react? And I want to react the way I know it's going to best serve me. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's not really a right answer there. I just didn't know if you knew the, because remember we did talk about too, like building your manual, right? So the more you can understand and read your manual, the better. Sorry, Dad, I cut you off there though. You were going to say something.
just it's something that I've seen again in the progression of this last 6 or 8 weeks. The goals are going to go in. You're a goalie. The whole concept of the sport is goals are going to go in, and it's something he's known since he started playing goalie many, many years ago.
Yeah.
But when watching him making sure if it was a mistake that allowed the goal or if it's just one of those good goals that are just going to go in and that's just going to happen is not letting that then compound on itself. Like there has been a distinct change where it's either a mistake is not turning into two mistakes, or if it was a good goal, not letting that just turn into oh crap, we're going to lose this game, and then have that kind of, what I would call a
Yeah.
little bit of a letdown. So
Right.
instead of one goal that goes in, now the second goal goes in, and maybe you catch yourself after the second or the third goal, but now it ends at the first goal,
Yeah.
and that part is distinctly noticed. And I think something he should. I don't know what's happened in his brain or what's going on, but I think he should be proud of that because it's something that is so important, obviously, as a goalie. It's important as any player, but it's
That's
especially as
cool.
important as a goalie.
Yeah. Awesome. Mom's not on the call, but does mom go to the games?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
she would be in agreement.
we stress out like crazy together. Yeah, like we can I know you're a goalie dad and you know
Yeah.
what it's like. It's the worst thing ever. We kind of wish he wasn't a goalie, but it is what it is. Yes.
So,
So yes,
and
she's
she would
always
be
there.
saying the same thing. She recognizes the body language difference and the approach and that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that positive, exactly. Not letting that the shoulder slump, the head slump, all of
Yeah.
that. Like
Cool.
it's noticeable.
So on my last couple grad calls, it was really cool too when like people have been saying the coach has been saying something. Like it doesn't mean that he has to, but it has anyone outside of your inner circle there like caught you being acting differently and saying something to you about it?
Yeah, my coach has like really, I think, noticed it. And so he's been like, I guess, like complimenting me or like saying that I'm keeping my team in it and stuff. And then Rob Armstrong, I was with him the other night and he complimented on me and that made me feel pretty good.
Sweet. Cool. Who's Rob Armstrong?
He's,
Rob Armstrong is he's a skills coach here in Greater Victoria. He works with almost every NHL and high-end junior player here in the summer with
Yeah.
for in Greater Victoria. So the Ben brothers, anybody who's from Greater Victoria in the NHL realm, he works with them in the summers, and then on Wednesdays he's the skills coach for James's team.
Okay.
Obviously not specific to goaltending,
Yeah.
but he is very well regarded in our area. And yeah, he's had some really great things to say for James in the last couple of weeks, which is really good to hear. And
Oh, that's awesome.
his head coach has been good, but then hearing that from a guy like Rob Armstrong for us in our neighborhood, that's a big deal. Like that's
That's
a big deal
cool.
because, like I
So
say,
people are noticing.
he works
Yeah.
with everybody who's everybody in our neighborhood.
That's
So
awesome. Well, good for you,
yeah,
man. That's great. And that's when you really know, like the most important thing for me is how the player feels, really. Like, I mean, if he's feeling better and you're feeling better, like that's a huge win. That speaks volumes. But it is really cool when outside people start to notice whether it's performance or behavioral changes, without you telling them about it. Like that's awesome. So sweet.
yeah,
Um, any comments or questions for me?
I think it was like really good. I think it's useful. I would highly recommend it. Um, yeah,
yeah,
So,
we've
Dad, you're
talked
the one
about
that wrote the check, or I guess
it.
Mom too, but she's not
Yeah.
here. Do you find that there was like, was it what you wanted it to be, and was the value there?
Yeah, the value is totally there. I've talked about it with some others recently, who you would likely have seen played because they played on a spring team against one of your teams in the last I think the team the Soyuz was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And just kind of commented on there has been a positive, noticeable, tangible difference. And it was a really good thing, almost to the point where you're like, oh man, that 4 weeks kind of ended. Like a little like, that little bit of almost a
Mhm.
letdown.
Right.
And so that's a good sign. Especially because my Scottish heritage is, I don't like handing out money if it's not worth its money. And there's no doubt though that this has been really, really good. It really started. It really started with the UMH 68 in June. Kind of seeing the kids that were there, having the different talks, and I obviously yours was one of the talks. And when you were speaking and kind of just presented, here's what we have, and there was other speakers and lots of other things to consider, but it was pretty clear that there was some benefit to it. And then looking into that further, okay, what's that look like? And then James kind of on his own looking in, doing the kind of the online quiz because he wanted to know more, and
Yeah.
it just kind of builds upon itself. But really positive stuff. So yeah, that was it really, like I say, I would say it started in the UMH 68 and it kind of just built throughout the summer and it's been great.
That's sweet. Yeah, I was going to actually ask you that, James, because players come at it from different spots. And if I don't have your mindset quiz in front of me, but from what I remember from it, it was fairly strong. Like it wasn't like that you felt that you had any big holes. Like, some guys do come in that way, feeling like, hey, I don't have any confidence. I recognize that and I want to do something about it. You were kind of on the other side of the spectrum, weren't you? Like you kind of felt like things were pretty good, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I love talking to guys like you because could you speak to that? So you felt you were in a good spot and maybe you were, but now you feel like you're in a way better spot, right? So
Yeah.
like talk to me about that sort of transition and maybe is there someone else out there like you that thinking maybe they don't need it? What would you say to them?
Uh, there's always room for improvement. Like, even if you think you're like the best of the best, there's always ways to get better. And like, this is one of them. This could like really help someone. And like, yeah, like even if you think you're the best, there's always room for improvement. You can always get better, and there's always someone who's better than you.
Hmm. Yeah. Did you find out things that you didn't even really know that you could like I don't know how to put it. Like sometimes you don't know what you don't know, I guess. That's one way I say it, right? You don't know what
Yeah,
you don't know. And then when you find these things out, it's like, oh, this was something that could help me and did help me, but I didn't even know
yeah,
about it, right? So was that kind of what this was about a little bit?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Um, well, I'm so glad you did it. I'm so glad you were curious enough to do it. I mean, that says something about you in the first place, and I'm obviously super happy that you got some great benefits from it. So, that's what it's all about, helping you help yourself, really, at the end of the day, right? And
Yeah.
keep kicking some butt.